Hello and welcome to Tax Matters. I'm Chamaka Ohauchi. How has your week been and how is business going? We do hope that you're fulfilling your tax obligations. Joining us on today's episode of Tax Matters is the Group Lead Tax Operations Group at the FIRS, Mr. Kabir Abba. Mr. Abba, thank you for joining us on Tax Matters.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So we have in our hands the 2021 Tax Collection Report of the FIRS, and that is what we are going to be speaking to. Now, was this the target given to the service by the federal government, or was that the service own target?
Well, the federal government gave us a target for the 2021 for 5.9 trillion naira. But most of the time we do such in our own in-house targets to ginger, performance of our staff. So we give our staff 7.6 trillion, but that was given to us by the federal government is 5.9 trillion naira, which we had collected more than 100% of that target given.
Very commendable.
Sure.
Now, the service collected a whopping sum of 6.405 trillion naira. Now, how did you achieve this?
Yeah, there are a lot of factors that actually contributed to us collecting that amount of money for the 2021. Prominent amongst is the use of our in-house built Tax Pro Max solution, which is a payment solution adopted, by the federal, by the FIRS, which was developed in-house, and that has actually tremendously, helped us in collecting the taxes that were collected for last year. Another factor that has actually helped us to work on that, to get those figures, is the fact that we had worked on the backlog of our taxes. A lot of the taxpayers were owing so much money. Let me give you an instance on the VAT, for instance. Most of the taxpayers are actually agents of collection. They collect these monies and they're supposed to actually remit to the service, which they fail to, in most of the cases, fail to remit to the service. We actually worked on the backlog of our taxes, which actually helped us in collecting, that much for last year. Another factor is the critical review of our compliance level of so many of the companies, especially the multinationals, because hitherto, most of the companies don't get to comply with their tax obligations. So for last year, we actually were doing so much in ensuring that these taxpayers actually comply. Another factor that has also contributed is the constant interaction with our stakeholders, both internal and external. We did a lot of that from January down to December. That has also actually helped us in collecting that much that we had collected.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Now let's go down to specifics.
Okay.
And then you overshot overall target. Now let's look at the performance tax type by tax type. Let's look at companies' income tax. What was the target and what did you achieve?
So the target for the CIT was 1.4 trillion naira and we collected 120%. This CIT actually grew because of the solution I talked about, the Tax Pro Max solution, which companies actually used. And these companies actually use it to file their tax returns, make their payments, and even print out their tax clearance certificate. This has tremendously helped us because it's so seamless, and it has actually brought taxation so easy on the part of the taxpayers. So this has actually contributed, and that's why we're able to make that 120% for CIT for last year.
Now, what about value-added tax?
Value-added tax, we have a target of 1.8 trillion naira, and we collected over 2 trillion naira. Or collected 113%. Despite the global economic meltdown for last year, we were able to do much more to collect over 100% of the VAT target given to us. Likewise, also, there are so many factors that have actually contributed to that. You see, VAT is a consumption tax, and we have agents of collection where the final VAT payment is borne on the final consumer. So we had actually worked on companies and taxpayers and agents that are supposed to be, they're supposed to charge these VATs and remit to us. So we're able to make that, percentage, that much collections also.
Okay. All right, very commendable. What about electronic money transfer levy? What was the target and what did you achieve?
Well, the electronic money transfer levy was introduced late last year, but we were still able to collect more than 111 billion naira. It was a new tax introduced, levy introduced, so we don't really have a target per se on it, though we collected over 111 billion naira. But of course, for this year, I can assure you we're going to do much more on electronic money levy.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, capital gains tax.
Well, capital gains tax, we also were able to collect 241%. With a target of 7.26 billion naira, we collected 17 billion. The capital gains tax is a tax that you pay when you make profit in the sale of assets and all that. So a lot of that was done in the course of the year, and we were able to actually pursue companies that had sold in assets and made some profits, and that's what we're able to make that much impressive collection on that tax type.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Also, petroleum profits tax.
Well, that is actually determined by international, crude prices. But even at that, for the PPT, we're able to make 123%. Because with a target of 1.6 trillion naira, we collected over 2 trillion naira on that tax type, which represents the oil, tax revenue. Yes, so we're able to also do very well in that tax type as well.
Amidst the economic situation, we're able to achieve that.
Sure.
All right. So let's look at the stamp duties.
For stamp duties, we collected 274% of the target given to us. We have a target of about 12 billion naira, and we collected over 33 billion naira. And there are reasons that can be, attributed to that. Because we introduced what we call the ISDS, that is the Integrated Stamp Duty Solution. It is a solution where stamp duty payers can actually register on that platform, make their payments, and even get their document stamped E. So by that, taxpayers don't even need to come to any of our stamp duty offices. They can actually do that on, in the comfort of their homes and offices. So we're able to collect that much because of the idea solution that was, deployed for collection of that particular tax type.
Impressive. Still talking about specifics, let's look at aggregate collection of indirect taxes vis-a-vis direct taxes. Now, are you achieving your goals of more taxes from the indirect taxes against direct taxes? So in this regard, we're talking about, the VAT, stamp duties, electronic money transfer levy, and so on.
Yeah, we're actually doing very well in that regard, and that is what we classify as the non-oil taxes. And we have really done so much more in that, going by the adoption of the tax promax that I spoke on earlier, and the interactive session we've been having with the various stakeholders we have, and we also have built in capacity within the service. So all our staff are really on and doing, and they collect all those necessary indirect taxes. And what is more important, especially on VAT, it is what we pay on monthly basis, that is on or before the 21st day of the following month. So we actually have been on so many rigorous tax drives, and I can assure you that we're going to do much more too, and we have actually started automating our VAT collection processes. So we're doing really very well in that regard as well.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
We would like to know if the VAT auto collect has become system-wide.
Well, with the passage of the Finance Act, we were actually empowered to do that. We have just started. It's still work in progress. We have done for some sectors, especially the banking sector, and as I speak to you now, we're automating the hospitality industry. Initially, there has been some resistance, but with the help of the Finance Act that was passed into law, companies now don't have an option because it is now, compulsory for them to do that. So it is still work in progress, so we're still doing that. But we have not really achieved 100% on VAT automation collection in the country. It's still work in progress. But we have made so much, remarkable achievements in that regard.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
be going on a short break, and when we return, we'll be looking at the tax collection reports of FIRS in the year 2021 and other matters arising. Stay with us.
Do you provide goods and services? Then you must answer these important questions. Are you registered for VAT? Do you charge VAT on the goods and services you provide? Do you keep records of all your transactions? Do you file VAT returns? Do you remit VAT collected to government coffers? If your answer to any of these questions is no, then you are breaking the law. The law demands total compliance. Therefore, you must register for VAT. You must charge VAT on goods and services. You must file VAT returns. And you must remit all VAT collected on behalf of government within 21 days to the bank nearest to you. To do otherwise is a crime punishable everywhere in the world. VAT is prescribed by the law. Do the right thing. Collect and pay VAT. This message is from the FIRS. It pays to pay your tax.
Welcome back. We still have with us Mr. Kabir Abba, the Group Lead Tax Operations Group at the FIRS, and he has been taking us through the tax collection report of the FIRS in the year 2021 and other matters arising. Mr. Abba, welcome once again.
Thank you.
So we noticed that once again, you are having a positive variance in the percentage of non-oil taxes over oil taxes. What is responsible for this?
Well, you see, the leadership of the FIRS under our able chairman, Muhammad Nami, we actually have zero tolerance for tax evasion. So all the while there has been this clamor to raise non-oil revenues because we cannot depend on oil revenues. That oil revenue is not sustainable. So we really need to work on our non-oil collections to actually find the necessary funding for government's business. We've actually done so much more. For instance, we have strengthened our audit and investigation department. So for taxpayers that don't really declare their profits and they don't really do the account the way they should, we have strengthened audit and investigation department, and they're doing so much more. And we have actually, we were able to get some additional assessment from companies who have refused to declare correctly their financials. There's also what we call the data mining department, which was also introduced under this current administration, where we actually leverage on other stakeholders. For instance, the NFIU, the EFCC, and all that will actually collaborate. And by that, we get to get information on taxpayers that are either recalcitrant or don't declare their incomes as the way they should. We actually have leverage on that, and by doing that with the competence of the staff that we have, we're able to actually rake in much more for the service in order to raise the non-oil revenues. And that is the reason why you see the 4.396 trillion naira from non-oil revenues when you compare to the 2 trillion naira collected in oil revenues, which the situation was not like that some few years ago. So actually, we know that what is sustainable is the non-oil revenue. So that is where we're actually focusing our attentions in the collections of that particular, tax.
I'm a very busy man. My business involves a lot of traveling and I interface with lots and lots of people and organizations. Tax compliance used to be a big drag on my business. It was time consuming and very costly. But now, no more. Introducing the FIRS Tax Pro Max, the truly fully end-to-end tax administration solution for companies' income tax, value-added tax, petroleum profits tax, and all other tax types. For fast, efficient, and convenient end-to-end tax experience, log on to www.taxpromax.firs.gov.ng. Tax Promax has turned things around for me. It is fast, user-friendly, and cost-effective. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC.
I would like to know, how is Tax Promax doing in helping you to ramp up collection?
You see, the Tax Pro Max is a seamless solution for tax administration that was deployed, by the FIRS. By the Finance Act, which actually gave the provisions, which gave FIRS the powers to actually automate their tax returns. So we had no other option than to adopt technology. And the beauty of the Tax Pro is the fact that it was even developed in-house. And what the Tax Pro does is that it's a seamless kind of solution where taxpayers can actually register their companies in there, file in their returns, make in their payments, and even print out their tax clearance certificate if they satisfy all tax obligations. You really don't need to come to the tax office to do your tax businesses. And it is so seamless and user-friendly. And I can assure you by the time we actually achieve the full potential of the Tax Pro Max, all these figures, I can assure you, revenues will continue to increase and rise. And to add to that, also just last year, we have actually launched what we call our contact center, which we actually receive complaints and explanations from our taxpayers. And that is done in so many languages, local and even international languages like French and Arabic. And for the local languages, we have Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, which runs for 24 hours. You can call in there and your complaints will be addressed.
When the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Mohammed Nami, came on board in December 2019, he came with a desire to refashion the service into a customer-centric organization that caters to the needs of taxpayers and provides them with all the assistance they need in order to fulfill their tax obligations seamlessly.
Please, where you call us from?
We are in business to ensure that we make life easy for the taxpayer so he can pay tax without stress.
To this end, a project was instituted to set up a contact center that will respond to inquiries and complaints in the shortest possible time. The contact center had to be robust enough to handle inquiries through the various channels made available by today's digitized world.
When we are able to quickly and efficiently respond to our taxpayer inquiries, that means there will be a spike in our compliance rate, and what that automatically translates to is an increase in our collection.
In the past, the service had a help desk which served as a port of call for inquiries. However, it had its limitations, and management wanted a modern, innovative contact center that could be accessed easily from multiple platforms such as telephone calls, SMS, social media, and the FIRS website.
With the contact center in place, you don't have to come to the office. At the convenience of your offices or at home, you can reach us through the telephone lines we have, through text messages, emails, or any of the social media handles.
Among other things, the FIRS Contact Center has a reporting platform providing executive summaries, frequently asked questions, and historical reports.
Please, where you call us from?
Agents of the center can also respond to inquiries or complaints in 7 languages, namely Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, English, Pidgin English, French, and Arabic. And more language capabilities will soon come online. Other capabilities of the contact center include easy access to contact details of subject matter experts who are specialists in their various fields, state coordinators and management staff by agents. The center can also handle mass mailing to taxpayers, and agents can easily route inquiries or complaints to subject matter experts, relevant departments, units, or tax offices capable of resolving taxpayers' complaints or inquiries.
The contact center also has the capability to route calls. So what that means is it can route calls depending on the agent that is free. It will route the calls. And then the contact center has the ability for conference call as well.
To ensure that the contact center agents function optimally, the supervisor and Servicom department can record and also listen in and hear conversations in real time. Furthermore, the executive chairman and top management have a dashboard which enables them to view the performance level of agents and subject matter experts.
For some of you that work here, there will be need for you to be courteous.
Yes.
you should be patient with taxpayers because you are our representatives. The image you portray of us, the taxpayers will get from you.
Yes.
So please attend to issues in a manner that the taxpayer will give a positive account of who we are at FIRS.
Indeed, the FIRS Contact Center encapsulates the word service in the organization's name. It is geared towards serving taxpayers with regards to their inquiries and complaints within the shortest possible time.
Email and it go.
Hopefully, this will in turn engender more tax compliance that will ultimately lead to making taxation the pivot of national development.
Impressive. Now, generally, how is technology helping in your work?
Well, technology worldwide is the way to go. It is the way to go, technology, and if you don't even plug into technology, I can assure you you'll be nowhere. And we've actually embraced that technology because without technology, you can't really go far. And that is why we now encourage all taxpayers to even use technology to file in their returns. Our audit and investigation processes will now use technology unlike the manual ways we used to do them. And like I told you earlier, we've actually collaborated with the use of technology to plug into some of our stakeholders' databases to get information on taxpayers. So it can never be overemphasized. Technology, yes, can never be overemphasized in helping us to achieve what we had achieved so far. I should maybe say one or two things to call on Nigerians and also taxpayers to provide all the necessary information they need to provide when it comes to their financial dealings. There is no hiding place for any Nigerian company or any taxpayer because we have all the technology now. So I want to call on all taxpayers and Nigerians to come and register and pay for whatever tax that is due to the federal government. And the first thing to do is even to get your company registered and obtain what we call the TIN. There is no hiding place for you now. So I want to call on all Nigerians to come and register for tax purposes and pay their taxes as and when due to help generate the necessary revenues to provide for the government to fund government business. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Now, finally, before we let you go, how optimistic are you that you achieve the target set for the service in 2022 by the federal government, and also the service own target, and also what steps or what have you measures put in place to help you achieve those targets?
Well, that is a very good question, and I must commend the President and also the Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for signing into law the Finance Act 2021. That will actually strengthen some of our operations. And I can assure you 2022 is very promising. And I can assure we're also going to beat whatever target they were given because we have very competent staff. We're leveraging on technology. We're engaging with so many stakeholders, both internal and internationally. We're doing much more, and we have built in capacity of our staff. And of course, we know that the use of adoption of technology is very crucial in improving revenue generation, and that is what we have actually decided to do. FIRS is so customer-centric and also data-centric. So all the things that we have put in place and we have begun to even prepare early, I can assure you that it's just a matter of time. By the end of the year, come December, I can assure we're going to actually, report very favorable figures, and we are going to beat the target that we're going to be given by 2022.
Definitely, we believe in the service, and you know that with all the reforms that have been put in place, the service will definitely achieve and surpass the target that will be set for it. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Abba.
Thank you.
You've heard it all from the Group Lead Tax Operations Group at the FIRS. There is no more hiding place for tax dodgers. Do the right thing, and the country will be better for us all. It is on that note that we thank you very much for joining us on today's episode of Tax Matters. Do have a wonderful week ahead.